Hey everyone, this is our 6th episode of our video webinar series where we will talk to successful nurse practitioner entrepreneurs who have built a practice that is making money and who have broken free from the rat race. Today we'll be talking to Mary, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently she is operating a very successful aesthetics and wellness clinic where she is offering a variety of MedSpa services, including weight loss, hormone replacement therapy, aesthetics. She scaled this to well over $750,000 a year on her own. So, hey Mary, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on here. So I'm really curious about your story. So you are like, you've done this all on your own out of one office, like just like a one-room office. I mean, at this point, you're over $1 million in revenue since you've opened up. So like, I guess let's just start from the beginning. How did you get started where you're at and kind of, what you're doing?
Oh, wow. So what led to this? Emergency medicine for 15 years, kind of was just done with that hospital setting. When COVID hit and prior to COVID hitting, I decided to do my Botox and filler course because I kind of knew I wanted to go into a different, realm of medicine, but just didn't know exactly what, just what I wanted to do at that point. So as I continued to work in emergency medicine, urgent care, did the Botox and the filler on the side, hosted the fun parties with all my colleagues, nurses, providers. So then at that point, I got out of emergency medicine completely and out of the corporate world because I used to be a VP doing corporate medicine and managing ERs all over the country. So when my 6-month-old called the nanny mommy, I was done. Resignation letter in the next day.
Sure.
So that's how my corporate life ended because I would fly all over the place, fly home, work 3 or 4 ER shifts in a row, fly back out. So I just, I needed a different life balance. And so that's something I had been searching for. As I went into the aesthetics realm, continued to do part-time urgent care, always keeping my foot in the door, addiction treatment medicine, urgent care. Started working for a plastic surgeon in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Really grew my aesthetic practice. He was just the coolest guy when it came to like just training and gross anatomy in the OR with the patients, like incredible training. Well, when I had my second child, I decided not to go back to work full time. So I hired a replacement provider for the same plastics office and they begged me to stay once a week. So I did. But when they closed their location down in Cary, North Carolina, the PA that I hired to replace me came in, had to be full-time in Fayetteville. So I didn't have a spot anymore. So at that point, Lexel Aesthetics and Wellness was born because I refused to stop injecting. And that was it. So once I did that, your courses came into play. I learned about the Elite NP, had not really fully launched Lexel Aesthetics and Wellness. I was still kind of in those planning stages, but your courses kind of helped like kick me in the butt to get started. Wait, like what am I waiting for? And so that's like really what got me, like that swift kick. And I appreciate that. And that was from you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations on your success. Seriously. I mean, it's very, very hard to get a business up to $750,000 a year. Like that's not an easy thing for most businesses. I mean, there's businesses out there, there's little restaurants and stuff that don't even make that with a staff of 10 people. You know what I mean? So like, it's a pretty big feat. So, sure. I mean, I might've helped you out a little bit with the courses and motivating you, but at the end of the day, you still did it. Right. So it sounds like you had a little bit of some business experience because you were kind of in the corporate world, you were managing people and that kind of a thing. So you kind of always had a little bit of a knack for it, right? I would imagine.
I have.
Yeah. Okay. So then it took an event to basically jumpstart it, right? So they closed the office. You still wanted to do it. Okay. Well, now I got to do this. What's interesting about that is that tends to be the story amongst most successful entrepreneurs. You're working, you're doing things that usually take some sort of negative event in your life to then make you cross over into doing it because you've been thinking about it for years and you finally are just like, screw it, let's just do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny, one of the daycare moms is the part owner to the day spa where I lease space. And she and I would always kick around like, hey, Mary, you need to come do Botox and filler. It'd be great to have you. And so, yeah, one day I was taking my kids, to school and she was like, let's do this. I'm like, let's do it. And so it's a busy little day spa in a small town. And I did that only working about 12 to 13 days a month. That's it.
at your business.
At my business.
Right. So you've done $750,000 working essentially 12 days a month.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, like
Talk
it,
about work-life balance.
yeah. Yeah. Like this is the great thing about a business is that you can, once it's up and running, once you get it going, it's just like, it's easy money. I mean, the more money you make, it seems like the less you work sometimes. I mean, yeah. So anyways, are you still working at all or are you just doing your business?
So as of December 27th, I was doing addiction treatment medicine in Fayetteville once a week. But as of January, so I started 2024 out just focusing on my business
Good
alone.
for you. Have you seen, in the last just 6 to 8 weeks, have you already seen growth because you can focus on it now?
Absolutely. So just for the month of January has been a record month for me.
Wow. Okay. Well, January tends to be pretty big for wellness clinics, right? I'm sure, people want to lose weight, et cetera. So are you concerned about that at all? Or do you think that it's just going to keep growing month to month?
I think it's going to keep growing month to month because as you know, aesthetics tends to take a little longer to grow that practice. I do have a small advantage with being in my hometown. So, building trust is relatively difficult. But when you know me, or you know my mom or my dad or my aunts or my brothers, or you kind of get that built-in trust, even if you don't directly know that person. So I have to say I have had a little advantage when it comes to that part of it. They were just like, oh, she's a hometown girl, I'm going to see her.
So you didn't have to market much at
None.
first.
I
None.
had zero. I've done none.
Even today.
Even today.
Wow. Even
So
better.
I gave a lecture. The one of the colleges in Fayetteville, FTCC. I was invited to come and do a small little just presentation with other entrepreneurs and just to talk about my services. And the marketing director said, "Hey, I've got some students that need some like a marketing project, and it would be completely free." I'm like, "Okay," because she said, "Well, what are you doing for marketing?" I said, "Nothing." And she's like, could my students, I'm like, absolutely. So I may get free marketing from one of the local colleges.
Yeah, I've never heard that one before. So, I mean,
I mean,
hey,
either.
take advantage of it. I mean, as long as they're not smearing your name, then who cares, right? Yeah.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
was it. It happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, it's interesting. It seems to be either one or the other. Like these really successful practices, it tends to be predominantly word of mouth only,
Yes.
or they spend a lot of money marketing. And so there's very little in between, I found. So do you think that if you spent a lot of money marketing, do you feel like you could grow really, really fast, maybe beyond what you could even handle?
Yes. And I'm currently kind of having that issue. I think my only complaint has been I can't get in to see you quick enough. So but then I kind of have a little limitation. I'm trying to find my own space now, so that I can grow. And at that point, the marketing will come because I'm going to, hire another nurse practitioner in
Right.
the practice and really kind of scale it. Because at this point, I mean, it would probably be nauseating to know how much business I've potentially lost because the receptionist, I do online booking, but the receptionist at the day spa, they're pretty clueless about the services. Some of them aren't, but for the most part, I don't have that stream of information going to clients like when they're calling or just that other avenue for just marketing in general or just service, telling people about services. So I think I'll get into definitely a lot more of that once I get into my own space. I was real close to buying my own space here recently, but it just wasn't in the cards. So I'm just going to keep grinding until I find my own space. And it's something, and this is for me, like, I mean, everybody's different when it comes to, leasing and paying money to lease. But for me, I want to buy my space. I want to, for me, that's what I want to do. And until that space, is available or I build that space, that strip mall, then I'm just going to kind of hold out and see how much I can continue to grow where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you feel like if you're sitting on something that you want to hold on to long term, um, you can see yourself working here for a while, hire other people and that kind of thing. Like if you really see long-term potential, I mean, why not? You might as well own the building too. You know what I mean? And if you build a strip mall, then the other people are paying your rent. It doesn't cost you a dime. And you have this asset that's worth $2 million just growing. You know what I mean?
That's the goal for me. That's one
Yeah.
of my.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So you're doing this out of a sublease kind of space, out of another spa kind of place.
Inside of a day spa. They, do massages and waxing and that sort of thing.
I got you. Okay. Do you feel like that you've gotten a lot of traffic from that?
I've gotten some, and then they've gotten some from me, which is interesting. Several people, even when I ask them if I don't know them, I'm like, well, how did you hear about me? Some have heard about me from the spa, but then, others are like, I had no idea this place existed. So it's been great for both of us.
Okay, cool. What percentage do you feel like just comes from the spa that you're in? Because a lot of people always ask me this question, am I going to get a lot of clients already coming through the door here? I hear sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Well, this is an 8-year established day spa. So they probably have 3,000 plus in their email chains. So I would say a good 20% ish could have potentially come from the spa, maybe even 25%. Because initially they did do email announcements of, me coming into the space. Haven't really done any since that point, but yeah, some of them have heard about it because all the girls, like I offered free laser hair removal for the girls. Like it cost me nothing to do that. But it advertised, and then several of the girls do tox, so they get their tox treatments every 3 to 4 months. So those girls are actually using my services too, which helps, with that word of mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how much does this space cost you a month?
600.
Nothing really. Yeah. And so with what comes with that is that their receptionist answers the phone and stuff for you. You basically just, this is your space and they basically handle everything else.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So no employees yet?
I have a nurse that helps me 3 times a month. Maybe at the very most 4 times a month to see weight loss follow-up. So she's a certified personal trainer. So she's doing a lot of that nutrition, the coaching. She's doing some laser hair removal, some Morpheus 8, and I'm teaching her to inject. So 3 to 4 times a month, she's a 1099. She just kind of picks her days and helps me out.
Cool. So $750,000 last year. Your expenses sound like they're not that much. I mean, I know with the products and the aesthetics and stuff, that stuff does cost a lot of money. So $750,000, what's your margin looking like? I'm curious. Sorry? 50%. Okay. All right. Yeah. 50%, everyone. Like, you ain't making that money as a nurse practitioner anywhere else. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah, even whenever I was doing it just on the side, kind of just going to hosting and doing parties, I would make 45 to 50,000 a year, just kind of extra doing that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, how were we so brainwashed, and why did we pick up extra ER shifts or extra urgent? Why did we do this stuff for so long?
I don't know. It's ingrained. Like I'm still on staff at the urgent care, and I'm still on staff at the addiction treatment medicine. I don't know. I've had 3 or 4 jobs at one time. I don't know why we're built that way. Like if I needed to buy something, I'd be like, oh, I need to work this many ER shifts in order to cover that expense. But yeah, like that's just how my brain operated for so long.
Yeah. I remember as a nurse practitioner, I don't know, about maybe 3 years into my career or something like that. Like I'd pick up an urgent care shift or a shift in the ER or whatever, and they're, paying time and a half or whatever. Woo. And, and then at the end of and then after taxes, you see the paycheck, you're like, I made an extra $450 for that. Like, the hell's the point?
I know. Exactly. Get a little RVU bonus here and there.
Yeah. I didn't keep that shit. I'm not. Yeah. I remember I was kind of like you. I was kind of on staff with some places. I kind of kept my foot in the door for a while, and then towards the end of it, I was working at an urgent care, and I was supposed to give them a 90-day notification that I was looking to leave. I was working like 1 day a week or something like that, and like I basically just kind of just walked in one day and I was like kind of handing like my 2 weeks to them. They're like, if you do that, you're not going to be eligible for rehire at all at this hospital system. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You think I'm ever going to come back to work for you guys ever again anyways? Like, I don't care. Here's my 2 weeks. And then the last day we were there, the last day of my shift, I closed the place down a couple hours early, took everyone to the local brewery. The director calls me. I know it's your last day, but you're not supposed to close down early. And I was like, beep, oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways. Well, cool. So your plan now is you're finding a space because you're probably outgrowing where you're at now.
Definitely.
Yeah. So like you said, how much money have you thrown away from people, wanting to be scheduled in a week? You just don't have availability. How many people not being able to walk in, not having a receptionist? I mean, how much business have you thrown away, right? I mean,
no telling. There's absolutely no telling how much I've thrown away.
Yeah. Who knows? You could be double what you're at right now, potentially, So you have an established business. It's successful. You're making money. So your next step then is to find a new place, hire some staff, maybe another nurse practitioner. Is that kind of what 2024 is looking like for you?
That's what I'm hoping for and praying for. Yes.
Yeah. When do you think this is going to come to fruition?
Well, I've got tons of real estate agents on the lookout for me. Most of them are clients of mine. It just so happens one of my very best friends does a lot of commercial real estate. He's a developer. So it's kind of one of those things, depending on the timeline, I may find a piece of property and build something if I don't find something that's already, built and established. But yeah, thankfully I'm very good at building relationships. I have to say that's probably one of my strongest, just I can build a relationship and I network and all of that really pays off, especially when you're just a good person. Like, just be a good person. And I feel like that's just how I've been able to do all this. Like, this is me and I'm real and I'm just good to people.
I think that's really what it comes down to. Be authentic, be a good person, listen to people. Like, it's not that hard.
It's not. And I love it. Building confidence, like, is food to my soul. I just love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Good for you. So, so what things do you think during this, in the last year and a half that you've been doing this, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you really feel like contributed to your very fast success? Because a lot of people out there, there's a lot of NPs out there who are 6 months into their practice, a year into it, 2 years, 3 years, and they're still struggling to break $250,000, a year. Which, they're making a living, but they're not like really, really getting ahead, and they're kind of just stuck there. So what few things did Mary do that you feel like really helped you go from, 0 to where you're at over the last couple of years?
Your course. Because there is no way I would have the knowledge and information that I needed to start my weight loss clinic without your course, period. So the timing was it was just impeccable launching it, because my biggest thing was I did my own little clinical group study of the compounded versions versus the big box versions. And I did my own study. And those are the things that I would tell, my clients or share with clients or share with family and friends. But your course is what did that. And so, yeah, it really was like, sure, I have a great aesthetics business. It's fantastic, but there's no way I'd get those numbers without the weight loss clinic, period. So most of my patients, 90% of my patients are on compound tirzepatide or compound semaglutide. We do some peptides here and there. Again, would not have known anything about that if it wasn't for your courses. And just with HRT, like, I'm doing my men's health, and that's going well, but, your courses built that, like that. It's it, there's no way. And the tools.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. It's a step-by-step thing. It's broken down for you. If you can't follow that, I can't help you.
I know. Yeah. And it's like, when you talk about pricing things, I literally just did exactly what you suggested. That's it.
It's not rocket science. Mark it up 1.5 to 3x. Call it a day. Like, it just isn't.
Right. And sometimes I'm kind of right there in the middle, like, I don't go completely on the high end and I don't go on the low end. I'm just like right there in the middle. I structure the program differently than some others, but I keep my margins where I keep my margins. And that's kind of how things have just steadily, become, just a steady growth, a steady
Yeah.
increase.
So do you think that with it sounds like you kind of have fair pricing. I mean, there are some people out there who have these luxury pricing clinics, and this is nonsense. These
Oh, wow. No, I get patients coming in from Raleigh, Durham, just all over the state of North Carolina. I'm licensed in Florida, Virginia, and pending New Hampshire because one of my nurses is up there and she was like, Mary, this is an untapped area. You need to get in here. I'm like, okay. So I'm kind of tapping into that. But yeah, no, I get, and the pricing that I've heard from some of my current clients, ridiculous. I'm just like $2,450 for a 12-week tirzepatide compound program. Goodness, that's a lot. I mean, I had a client that was paying $1,200 a month every single month for tirzepatide every month.
Yeah, there's some NPs out there that own some clinics and just some docs and stuff, some of these med spas. Listen, you guys like ripping people off. Good for you. That's between you, the man upstairs, whatever it is that you're doing, like whatever. You want to rip people off, it's luxury pricing nonsense. Fine. Those patients aren't sticking around very long when they find out they can go right down the street for 60, 70% cheaper for the exact same thing.
Like exact same thing. And see, I don't do some memberships. And I think there's different business models that would benefit from memberships or subscriptions. But right now, I don't, sure, I followed the studies and I do evidence-based practice. But when it comes to maintenance of these weight loss medicines, I mean, we play around with that and they buy it based on the vial and it could last them 3 or 4 months for $750. But that's fine because guess what? Those patients come back. They all come back. And I've learned that over this course of time that I've been doing it. I've been doing the weight loss for about 1 year now, the weight loss part of my practice. And they come back because it's affordable. Like I want it to be affordable for people. And I make,
And you make money. Exactly. Like my men. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
I was going to say everybody's happy.
Yeah, everyone's happy, right? Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we do at my men's health clinic, like $140 a month. Testosterone, the visits, the syringes, it's all included for $140 a month. Like everybody can afford that for the most part. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's $1 million business. Like the volume of people that come in will offset, the cheaper pricing. Like they just will. And when you get these people dialed in, you're only seeing them once every 6 months. It's not like it's that much work and it's a 10-minute phone call.
Exactly. And I'm hoping to expand that part of my business here in 2024 also. But yeah.
Yeah. You made up a good point. Just one more point I want to talk about. You brought up a good point earlier about how there's no way you would be where you're at now if it wasn't for stacking on those complementary services on top of the aesthetics. Like a lot of people think they're going to open up just an aesthetics practice or just IV infusion practice and make a lot of money. It's hard. You have to offer those other services that provide you more of a passive income stream, right? Subscription-based monthly income for not having to really work.
Oh, absolutely. So, taking Jenny's course, doing the functional nutrition course, phenomenal. Like, I'm so glad I did all of that kind of at the same time because, she introduced me to the full scripts. She shared all her protocols. She's amazing. And that income alone more than pays for my monthly rent for my room. It pays for my nurse too. So it's yeah. And she shared everything. I just love her. So glad she spoke at the conference. She's amazing. She's an amazing human being. Also, but yeah, doing full scripts. I don't do anything, and it's just one of those passive, incomes for me. So yeah, incredible.
It's a no-brainer. You just implement a couple little tiny complementary services. This is not the focus of your practice. It's just a little add-on. And You're right. It pays for bills. Peptides alone at my men's health practice is thousands of dollars a month. Pays rent, pays utilities, pays for all that stuff. And it's just a little add-on. We're not even talking about now the monthly testosterone and the weight loss.
Mm-hmm. Those little add-ons. And what's interesting, those who started with just aesthetics, they're now weight loss clients. All my weight loss clients, they're now in aesthetics. Because guess what happens when you lose a bunch of weight? Oh, we got to tighten up that skin. Do some Morpheus 8. Yes. Pop some filler in there. smooth some lines because that confidence is radiating now, right? Lost some weight, feeling good. I mean, it's all of those patients are going all of my services. It's all intertwined. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yeah, those big patients, these wellness practice patients, they like all this stuff. That's why you should be offering all this stuff. Like, yeah, yeah.
Of course, I do freebies and just love them. I just love them and I value them, and and I've gotten some really good feedback from the things that I've been doing. So yeah, it's awesome.
Good. So it sounds like a lot of Mary's success is affordable pricing, great customer service, actually being there for your patient, keeping your expenses low, the word of mouth, networking with people. This isn't rocket science.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, cool. Well, listen, I like to end these with you answering 2 questions, okay? So the first question is, what piece of advice would you give someone in more of the dreaming stage of, being an entrepreneur? That nurse practitioner who might be watching this right now on their phone, sitting in the ER, miserable as hell, because they have 6 wings that they're, treating, and the lobby is a 5-hour away. You know what I mean? So they're watching this right now in the dreaming phase. Like, what piece of advice would you give that person who just hasn't started yet? They're still working. Like, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say, don't wait. Just do it. Just do it. I think my biggest regret is not doing it sooner. Because man, I was there. Like, that was me. And I like, just do it. Don't think, be ready though. I will say, I think, and I kind of go back to emergency medicine because that's kind of where my foundation comes from. But, be confident in your abilities and your knowledge, and make sure that you understand what you're doing. Follow the evidence-based practice studies and be confident. I don't know, the fake it till you make it phrase. Like, I know people say that, but man, I don't know about you, but I've had to do that a lot of times, especially in emergency medicine. But man, just do it. Just do it. Just have the confidence to just, take a chance. So
yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, just start. It's like, once you do one thing and you start doing things, it just snowballs. And before you know it, you're open. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did it all myself. Like, I built the website myself, and I did the EMR myself, and everything. I just did it myself, and I just kind of learned along the way. And I was cheap. I didn't want to pay anybody to do it. I was like, you know what? I can YouTube that. So yeah, I would say just do it.
Yeah. But you know what, though? You doing all that stuff yourself has made you a better entrepreneur than someone else who just hires everyone to do all this stuff and just starts shelling out money. You're not learning how to do it. Like, you're just, it's like paying someone to write your, midterm, essay for you or whatever. Like, you're not learning. Like, you just do it. It's worth it.
Absolutely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The second question is, what piece of advice would you then give for someone who's already started up? They're maybe a year or 2 in their practice. Maybe they're struggling to break, $500,000 this year, whatever it is. Like, what piece of advice do you feel like you would give that nurse practitioner?
I would say try to find another service, kind of like we were talking about service add-ons, try to find something that could complement what you're doing and that can bring value to your practice and to your patients.
Yeah.
Because there's
100. Sorry.
I was going to say there's always an added value to no matter what service you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. You just stick with one thing, and like, that one thing can work as long as it's one of those base services, you know what I mean? Like weight loss or hormone replacement therapy or functional medicine. Like, as long as it's one of those base things, you can be, super niched and do just that. But it's going to be very difficult for you to, hit over $1 million in revenue on just that one thing. It's going to be difficult. You have to stack on revenue streams. Like, you have to have a vertical business where you can just keep stacking things into it, and that adds up.
Absolutely. And it's paid off.
Yeah. And no, it's paid off for you. And this is debt free, right?
Debt free. I have no debt. 0% debt. Now, I did, I've spoke about the Morpheus 8 and the laser hair and the IPL, but I bought that in cash. So if I could, that's another piece of advice that I would say. If you don't have it to buy, don't buy it. Just wait. wait until the time is right because you don't want to get into debt. And I have none.
Yeah, good for you. Like the only debt you should be going into with a business is, the construction loan, the mortgage or whatever, for whatever it is, the building that you want to buy. That's it. You should not be going into debt over a bunch of machines and all this stuff. If you, like you said, if you don't got the money for it, don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Don't buy it, and be smart about it. You and I had talked at the conference briefly. Like I bought my first investment property last year too. I got a credit card that was 0% financing for 12 months, to do the upgrades and the renovations to the place. I mean, it's paid off now, but it gave me a little 6-month buffer and I earned rewards for it. So like I get free money to like spend on vacations, so it's just like be smart with those decisions. Cause I mean, my parents are kind of old school. So they taught me about, don't spend money. If you don't have it, don't, put it on credit. But man, I kind of still live that way, but I do put everything on credit, but I pay it off every single month to not accrue any interest or debt. But yeah, I'm happy to say I am debt free.
Yeah, good for you. Hey, Liz. Well, the credit card thing, that's it's a no-brainer. I think you're a fool not to have. Yeah, you're a fool not to have a business credit card. An absolute fool. Like, don't use your debit card from the bank.
I even tell patients that, like some of the patients that come in, they use debit cards. I'm like, look, we need to have an offline conversation about this. Like, this is part 2 to our weight loss program is like, and I need to teach you about how to utilize a credit card. So I give that advice all the time, but I'll probably never pay for another vacation with all the reward points. Like it's pretty ridiculous.
I was going to say, when was the last time you paid for a plane ticket?
Never ever. I don't travel that much, as right now, but I wouldn't have to. That's for sure. Yeah, it's incredible, the rewards.
Yeah, it's pretty.
You're spending $30,000 to $40,000 with a pharmacy every month. I mean,
right, $40,000 at the pharmacy every single month for your clinic that you're putting on this credit card. Mm-hmm. That's like 80,000 points a month. Like. Yeah. You're going to have 1 million points at the end of the year. 1 million points is first class, international, anywhere you want to fly for you and your partner. Free. Yeah. No brainer. Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Congratulations on your success. Seriously.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. Thanks. Bye.